Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We are from Group 3 are going to present about the topic Self-Development Skill and Strategies in Holistic Development Approach. My name is Muhammad Hazim bin Raji and I'm the first presenter for this group. Okay, actually this topic is quite familiar among us, especially as a student, teachers and as well as parents. So before I go further about this topic, I want to tell you the definition of the self-development skill. So according to the William 2013, he said that the self-development skill is the qualities and abilities that help you grow both personally and professionally. In other words, they are skills that help you to nurture your personal development. So for those who want to having a solid self-development skill, they have to upgrade and to improve their skill and also the qualities that they have own now. It must be in holistic, or in other words we call it complete, where it combines 4 aspects. For these 4 aspects, I name it as SSPE for you for easy understanding and remember. So for the first S is spiritual, while the second S is for social. P is stand for practical, and the last one is alphabet E stand for emotional. This SSPE is needed in order for you to sharpen or increase your self-development skill. One analogy that I can give to you in order for you to understand this concept is by looking at the plant on how it can grow and become strong. At the beginning, the plants are weak. So, in order for them to survive, they all need the soil, water, sunlight, and also the last one is good environment. So, all of these element is needed for them to become strong and bigger plant. But to the human concept, we all need all of the SSPE aspect in order for us to develop and strengthen our self-development skill. Have to remember, you have to give an equal attention to all of these aspects, so it can make a person to be called as holistically developed. So, you can see here the different aspects will create or develop you as a whole. Just in case you ignore one of the aspects, you will give bad or negative impact in your life. Like for example, if you are lacking in social skill, it will give impact when you socialize with your friend and also when you are in the community. You cannot have a good communication skill with them. This happens because each of the aspects is dependently on each other. You can easily compromise or ignore them. You can see the correlation of these aspects in the diagram. Does self-development skill and strategies is important? Okay, so the answer is yes. Why it is important? First, achieve personal and career goal. Second, advance in your career. Third one is improve your strength and talent. The fourth one is better yourself. And the last one is find fulfillment and satisfaction. Okay, next is how to improve your personal development skill. Okay, there are 4 ways how to improve your personal development skill. Okay, the first one is overcome your fears. Okay, do you know that fear can prevent you from growing and progressing, right? So, if you are afraid to talk in front of the crowd, people, for example, public speaking, don't worry. For instance, take a class or join a group that can help you to become a good person and overcome your fears. Okay, the second one is read or reading. Okay, reading can expand your knowledge and vocabulary. It can also stimulate your mind and can improve your critical thinking skill. Okay, trying setting a goal to read at least 1 motivational article in a day. The third one is learn something new. Okay, maybe you need to learn a new skill or topic. For example, such as you need to learn a language. out of the usually language that you already use, such as Malay or English. Maybe you can learn Mandarin. Okay, and the last one is observe others. Okay, observe others is like you watch and learn from the other people who inspired you. Maybe this could be someone that you know, your family or public figure, maybe Nilofa and whatsoever. Identify the qualities that you admire them and try to replicate those in yourself. Guys, before I end my part, I would like to share one quote with you. Actually, this quote is by John C. Maxwell. He said that growth today is an investment for tomorrow. From this quote, what can I say is, in order for us to become a better person tomorrow, we have to prepare ourselves starting from today.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Akmal bin Muhammad Nafi, and today I will be presenting about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is also known as EI. Before I proceed, I want to ask to all of you, what is meant by emotional intelligence? Their characteristics, their importance, and also their improvement for the teachers to develop their self skills and also strategies. Definition of emotional intelligence. According to Meyer and Salovey 1919, emotional intelligence is the ability to monitor one's own and other feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them, and to use this information to guide one's thinking and actions. Next, according to Baon 2000, emotional intelligence is an array of emotional, personal, and social abilities which influence one's overall ability to cope effectively with environment, demand, and pressure. Last but not least, from Perth 2007, emotional intelligence is the ability to tune into emotions and taking appropriate actions. From these three definitions, I can conclude that the emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to recognize and understand your feelings and realize how these emotions can affect other people around you. Next, we move to the emotional intelligence ability model. This model is from Meyer and Salovey 1990. There are 4 points in this model. So, the first point is identifying emotions. Identifying emotion is the ability to perceive emotion in yourself and other people. Next is using the emotions. Using the emotion is the ability to generate, use, and feel the emotion to communicate feelings. Third is understanding emotions. Understanding emotion is the ability to understand emotional information and how to combine and progress the emotions. Last but not least is managing emotions. Managing emotion is the ability to regulate emotion in yourself or other people to promote personal understanding and growth. Next, we jump to the characteristic of emotional intelligence. There are 5 characteristics. First is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and also social skill. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand your own emotion and understand how it affects other people. Second, self-regulation is the ability to control or maintain unpleasant feeling during pressurized situation. Next is motivation. Motivation helps teachers to motivate themselves. Fourth is empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand other people's emotions. Last but not least is social skill. Social skill involve observing, understanding, and cooperating with each other. Importance of emotional intelligence for the teachers. There are 3 points I listed here. First point is help teachers to face this stressful situation. As we know, in Malaysia, there are 30 to 40 students in a class, right? So it might be stressful for the teachers to conduct this class. But with highly emotional intelligence, teachers can communicate effectively with the students and cooperate the class effectively. Next is help teacher performance. With highly emotional intelligence, teachers can communicate with each other and the students effectively. So, the teachers can build a good relationship among the community of the school. So, it can boost the teachers' performance. Last point for importance of emotional intelligence for the teachers is help the student to increase their performance. Students always see the teachers as their role model. With highly emotional intelligent teachers, the student can boost their achievement to the highest state. Improvement of emotional intelligence. There are 5 points that I list here. First point is observe how you react to people. Do you rush to judgment other people? Do you stereotype? Look honestly at how you think and interact with other people. Try to put yourself in their place and be open and accepting of their perspective and needs. Next, look at your work environment. Do you seek of any attention? Humility can be a wonderful quality, and it doesn't mean that you are shy or lack of self-confidence. Give another chance to yourself to shine. Put the focus on them and don't worry too much about getting pleased for yourself. Next, try to do a self-evaluation. What are your weaknesses? There are many platforms to try out your emotional intelligence, like quiz and so on. So I suggest to you to get and try this quiz to help you evaluate yourself. Next, examine how you react to the stressful situation. And lastly, take responsibility for your action. If you hurt someone's feelings, apologize directly. This can make a better communication with each other and how to react with their emotions. Okay, that's all from me. I will pass this presentation to the next presenter.
Hi guys, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Muhammad Anisha Shamuddin, PD 26088. Alright, today I would like to proceed my part, which is social intelligence. Before we are going to proceed our part, let me introduce what we are going to learn first. And the first thing first is introduction to the meaning of intelligence. Second, the ability social intelligence. Third, importance of social intelligence. And the last one is how to develop student social intelligence. Social intelligence. What is the meaning by social intelligence? Regarding by Sophia Gossenberg, she stated, social intelligence is the capacity to communicate and form relationships with empathy and executiveness. Meanwhile, by Building, stated it focuses on individuals whereas help them better understand themselves, uncover hidden barriers, and identify strategies that enable more positive outcomes in all parts of their life. Next, ability social intelligence. Ability social intelligence includes 4 important key points, and the first one is verbal and non-verbal. Second, knowledge of social rules and roles. Third, listening skill, and the last one is self-image and impression management. It is a The first one, verbal and non-verbal literacy, it is the conversational skills are the most basic form of social intelligence. Verbal and non-verbal expression are the primary platform for sending a message. The use of the right word, the higher tone, and the intention underlies the first step to effective communication. Second, knowledge of social roles and rules. It is why interact with a group, knowing the social roles, customs, and idiosyncrasy is a fundamental skill for social intelligent people. These facilitate interaction with individuals who belong to different social groups, like people of different age, countries, religion, or cultural identity. Third, listening skills. What means by listening skill is one of the active listening, whereas instrumental in the development of social intelligence. It helps to connect with other people, prevent conflict, and enable learning through dialogue. These contribute significantly to personal growth. And the last one is self-image and impression management. This is the ability to present ourselves in ways that connect with others without stretching too far from our natural personality. The objective is to maintain a sincere demeanor that appeals to others, show empathy, and emphasize our ideas of self. Next, let's proceed to our next point, the importance of social intelligence. It is approved by Bridge-Steinberger, 2009. It says four important points of what the importance of social intelligence. The first one is self-awareness. Second one is self-management. The third one is social awareness. And the fourth one is relationship management. Right here, so you can see there are a few keywords that I just hit here, whether I can explain more. Whereas first point is self-awareness. It is understood on emotions, personal growth, and value on how thought and interaction connected. Second, self-management. It requires skills and aptitude facilitated the ability to relate on emotion, behavior, included to reduce stress, control impulse, and to achieve personal growth and education goals. Third one is social awareness. It is about the abilities to understand, empathize, and feel comfortable with those with different background and culture. It also helps understand social norms for behavior and recognize families, schools, and community sources and support. And lastly, relationship management. Here we can see it helps maintain health and rewarding relationships and to act in accordance with social norms. These skills involve communicating clearly, listen actively, and seeking help when it is needed. Next, let me proceed to see on how to improve social skill as teacher. So, first of all, I want all of you to think about what is the of how we should improve social skills as teacher. So, I give you around 2 minutes to think it first. I will ask one volunteer to give and share with us what is the one point to improve social skills as teacher. Alright, so I would like to ask Fahd. Okay, Fahd, if one point to how to improve social intelligence skill as teacher. Alright, fine. Thank you so much. Okay, let's proceed. What is the further details of the improvement on our social intelligence skills as teacher? The first one is behave like a social person. Second, ask open-minded questions. Third, read books about social skills. Fourth, pay attention to body language. And the last one is identify and replace negative thoughts. Before that, guys, this point is approved by government 2010. As the first one, why we need to behave like a social person actually impacts and prevents us from society. Second, ask open-ended questions. What the meaning of this ask ourselves by open-ended question is very important. Just enough ask ourselves about yes or no to make a difference, either it's good for us or not. Third, read books about social skills. This actually is very important to us to read this type of book. How what we can say is learn to specific social skills to start conversation with a bad behavior. The fourth one is pay attention to body language. This is actually teach us to learn how to be alert by our body language and how to relax, make eye contact, and behavior to open conversation. And the last one is identify and replace negative thoughts. As well as we know, by identify and replace negative thoughts, it helps us to more be positive person. Next, let's proceed on how to develop student social intelligence. According to Annie Morris 2009, she has a four important keys shown on this on how to develop student social intelligence. The first one is encourage eye contact. Second, make face expressions. Third, listen for understanding. And the last one is recognize tone voice. So what all means? Encourage eye contact. By what? By paying close attention to what and who is around you. As you know, when just pay attention to the people or the circle around us is very good at how we show our appreciation to others. Second, make face expression. By working on it, it will help us increasing our emotional intelligence. And the people or students around us can catch up or can get what we are going to deliver on of our content. The third one is listen for understanding. Listen for understanding actually the best practice is just practice active listening. But better of this skill can help us to listen for understanding. And the last one is respect cultural differences. As we know, even as a teacher, we should respect and realize every student comes with a different culture and different background, different responses and customs based on their upbringing. This one of every moral speech. And the last one is my reference part. This is my reference part where I just complete my research on. That's it for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to Dr. Lily and my friend. Today, I'm Muhammad Amir Akram Sabri. We'll talk about practical intelligence. So, let's begin. So, what is practical intelligence? Practical intelligence, said by Robert J. Sternberg, Professor of Human Development, said neither on a person's ability to analyze information and reproduce it on a test, nor on it coming up with novel ideas. In other words, practical intelligence is based on their ability to apply their knowledge in the real world. Okay. Next, we proceed with characteristic of practical intelligence. There are 6 of them, which is number 1, ability to apply knowledge in the real world, or ability to relate and apply their knowledge to solve the problem in a real life. Number 2, can navigate the environment even in unfamiliar situation. Number 3, skill that can be found among any people and profession. Number 4, skill that adapt the environment and learn from the past of experience. Number 5, they call it as street smart or common sense. And lastly, it can be ability to influence people and get what they want. Okay? Now, we'll proceed. What's a practical intelligence example? Not surprisingly, people with practical intelligence often end up in a leadership role due to their ability to communicate effectively with others and be able to adapt, also shape the environment. So, looking at everyday modern life, practical intelligence example might be as nailing a job interview based not on your resume, but on your ability to navigate a tense situation, communicate effectively, and influence the people you are talking to. So, the example of profession is successful manager, entrepreneur, sell people, and teacher are often very practically intelligent person. Okay, now tacit knowledge. Sternberg had say with other researchers had say to measure practical intelligence, Sternberg relies on a concept called tacit knowledge. So, although science has found that kids get their intelligence from their mom, but the best part of practical intelligence is we can learn it. So, practical intelligence is based on tacit knowledge, or what you need to succeed that you are not explicitly taught, that are often is not even verbalized, as Sternberg say. Okay, so it is not something you are instruct on in school, because it is based on your individual experience, on how you process the info you gather through your experience, how you sort out the important stuff and mix it in with what you already know. So people with practical intelligence tend to do this without outward effort, which is why they seem to just have a way about them that let them easily cruise through life. Okay, as the example on the picture, we have 2 knowledge, which is explicit knowledge, can be captured, write down, and present in document and database. All the knowledge we can get in school and can be represented as document and database. So now the tacit knowledge is the knowledge in our head. It is much less concrete and more difficult to document and measurable. However, it is more valuable because it provides context. Tacit knowledge requires personal contact and trust to share effectively. Okay, now we proceed. How do you build practical intelligence? There are some activities to build the practical intelligence. Number 1 is computer coding, sketching, play escape room, building, and playing video game. All the boys love to play video game. Also the girls. Okay. So this activity can make people always analyze the problem. They analyze the problem, such as the computer coding. So the brain will become more alert to the mistake. Okay. Now, uh, then they can learn how to have a relaxed state and help to maximize their creativity. Okay. Now we proceed with the importance of practical intelligence in teacher. Okay, there are four. Is it? So number one, build the teacher's self-confidence. So practical intelligence, as we know, we learn it from the past of experience. So in life of teacher, we always do mistake. So this is uh, this is alright to do mistake in teaching, but do not always. Okay, and the mistake will make we improve our teaching and become more confident to stand in front of student. So number two, manage to differentiate home and works problem. Okay, the practical intelligence will help the teacher to have the differentiate home and work problem without mixing it in school. Okay. Now, number three, able to control the emotion and be professional. And number four, good in handling every kind of student. Now, let's proceed to we promote practical intelligence to student. So, number one is explore their own strength and weakness. So, making explore the student own strength and weakness can make the student to explore their own strength and weakness in order to grow their self-esteem. Students need to work through lessons that develop their understanding of their own strength and interest in subject or anything. Okay. Number two, try different way of doing tasks, which means try different by trying the different way of doing some something that is in order to measure their knowledge. For example, doing something like doing maths, which student doing maths, and there are many type of method that can get the same answer. Okay. So number three, and lastly, build on what works and doesn't works. So teacher need to help their student by giving critical question to their student to measure student to make sure the student can think the answer wisely. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We continue with spiritual intelligence. What is spiritual intelligence? Based on Zohar in 2018, she said that spiritual intelligence is an ability to access higher meanings, value, abiding, purpose, and unconscious aspect of the self and to embed this meaning, values, and purpose in living richer and more creative life. When we talk about spiritual intelligence, it's good to have a look in religious. Have been stated by Muhammad Mahyuddin Hafiz in 2007. He said that having a good and pure soul enable one to control them from doing things that are forbidden by laws and religion. The development of individual Islamic spiritual intelligence built up when the individual have patience, gratefulness, engrossment, good perception, honesty, good relationship, depend on God, sincerity, and pietism. The more importance of the heart have been mentioned by Bukhari and Muslim, as been stated by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whereby in Adam's body contained a piece of meat in physical form that in fact refer to the pure heart. If the heart is good, the whole body will be good. If the heart is bad, the whole body will be bad as well. It shows that in our body, they have an identification. We can say that a part of our body have an identification for ourselves. Whereas when that part is good, then we're going to be a good person. Now, I'm going to summarize the meaning of a spiritual intelligence. What spiritual intelligence contain of? Spiritual intelligence contain of positive, appreciation, knowledge, self-governance soul, understanding yourself and others, active qualities and capabilities, and maintaining inner and outer peace. We already take a look on the definition of spiritual intelligence in general context. Now, we're going to focus more on scientific concept between the spiritual intelligence. It's stated by Richard in 2012. He said that as analysis of spiritual intelligence, the equation means that spiritual intelligence equal to intellectual intelligence and emotional intelligence magnified by the power of present. Thus, spiritual intelligence results when intellectual and emotional intelligence are exercised in the state of present. But what is present? Although the experience of present is unmistakable, nevertheless, the nature of present is often misunderstood. From the picture here, we can see that on the right side of the brain is emotional intelligence, while on the left side of the brain is intellectual intelligence. But where is the spiritual intelligence? Spiritual intelligence contains for the whole brain, which means including the emotional part and intellectual part. Now, we proceed with the state of present. Present is the shift from the object pole of attention to the subject pole of attention, which result in corresponding shift from ego into soul. When the shift to the subject pole of attention by the identifying with the feeling of awareness itself, instead of identifying with your body and mind, there is greater clarity about everything at the object pole of attention, including your immediate surroundings. However, the essential nature of present is the shift from the ego into soul, and greater clarity of mind is one of the results. Based on Amrit in 2007, I can summarize that how with the spiritual intelligence going to change your life from under command of ego into the command of soul. If we live under the command of ego, everything will be under pressure. Draper 2010 has said that when your soul governs the intellectual and emotional intelligence as it does in the moment of present, your ego is removed from command. Consequently, in those moments, your ego is not in charge of your thought, emotions, purpose, values, and actions. Spiritual intelligence is therefore your most valuable personal resource because it puts your souls in command. The soul does a much better job than the ego, since the soul is the source of wisdom, compassion, integrity, joy, love, creativity, and peace. Therefore, spiritual intelligence realizes your fully potential by living as your soul and thus transform the life destiny that will otherwise be created by the ego. Draper in 2010 already clear out what is a spiritual intelligent work to us. Why the spiritual intelligence is very important for us. I hope everyone can understand the basic concept of spiritual intelligence. Okay, now we're going to move on with the characteristic of spiritual intelligence. Here, we have 12 characteristics of spiritual intelligence, but I'm not going to touch everything in here. We're going to see only 6 important characteristics of spiritual intelligence. The first characteristic of spiritual intelligence is self-awareness. Self-awareness, knowing what I believe in and value, and what deeply motivates us. This is where we are aware what is belong to us. We are aware the condition where we need to be motivated. The next one is holism. Holism is actually seeing a larger pattern, relationship, and connection. It also means by having a sense of belonging. Here, I can say that holism is actually about relationship between people's, me and you, we with our family, and the sense of belonging between where we acknowledge that we are belong to family, we are belong to God because God created us, we are belong to a school when we are teaching. So holism talk about relationship and belonging. Now we proceed with spontaneity. Spontaneity is about the living in and being responsive in the moment. We can respond everything that happened to us spontaneously. Next is tendency to ask fundamental why question. This type of characteristic always been teaching by teacher. Our previous teacher always teach us to have the why question in mind. We need to ask why this happened, why we are here, why Allah created us. The fundamental why question is actually needing to understand things and get to the bottom of them. We have the curiosity to know everything that need to be known. Next is feel independence. Feel independence is about standing against the crowd and having one's own connection. We need to be independent in whatever we do. We cannot always stand between others. We cannot depending on others. Last but not least is positive use of adversity. Positive use of adversity, in a simple word, is learning from mistake. People always say that you fall 2 times, you get up 3 times. Jatuh sekali, berakhirnya bukan. We need to learn from mistake. Learn and never give up is one of characteristic of spiritual intelligence. In order to become a successful teacher in future, we need to have the 6 characteristic of spiritual intelligence. Now, we're going to proceed with the importance of a spiritual intelligence to teachers. The first one is sincerity and humanity. Why spiritual intelligence is important to teachers in part of sincerity and humanity? Because our customer as teacher is a student. Student is human being. So, in order to communicate and deals with human being, we need to have the sincerity and humanity. We can never expect more. We never expect more for student, and certainly not free from struggle and darkness. The next one is the awareness of life purpose. We need to aware about our life purpose as teacher. A strong life purpose can encourage student motivation through the way of teaching. Next one is emphasis on community. Because our student is a human being that live in community, so as teacher, we need to emphasize on community. We need to understand of what we need and what to care. We also need to educate all students without sign. We cannot pilih kasih on student, because when we use that term of pilih kasih, then we actually lack of spiritual intelligence. Last but not least is emotional and spiritual nature. We need to be patient in order to deal with the student character by balancing their emotion. We need to keep in mind that our students come from different background. They may have a student that came from a destroyed family, broken family, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, something like that. So, as teacher, we need to know how to handle the student, how to motivate the student, and how to encourage the student to fight their weaknesses. Next one is we're going to take a look on this 21 skills of spiritual intelligence. However, I'm going to split it into 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is ego self-awareness. Ego self-awareness. Ego self-awareness contains 5 points. The first one is ego self or higher self. The second one is inner thought. The third one is value hierarchy. The fourth one is life purpose. And lastly is own world view. The second quadrant is ego self-mastery. Before this, ego self-awareness. Now, we need to mastery on it. Under ego self-mastery, we have another 5 points that you need to take a look. The first skill is spiritually growth. Next one is keeping spirit self in charge, purpose and value, sustaining faith, and guidance from spirit. The third quadrant, universal awareness. We talk about universal awareness. Universal awareness comes with 6 skills. The first skill is interconnectedness of life. The second one is space perception, worldview of others, limitation, spiritual principles, and transcendence oneness. The last quadrant, social mastery. Under social mastery, we have another 5 skills of a spiritual intelligence. The first one is wise and effective teacher. Second, wise and effective leader. Calming, wise decision, and being aligned with the flow of life. This whole 21 skills of a spiritual intelligence is needed by us to improve our self-development. Okay friends, now we're going to proceed with the promoting to students. How we as teacher going to promote the spiritual intelligence to students. The first one is by activity related to leadership quality. We need to create an activity in the class in order to develop the leadership quality in the student self. The next one is present some reality life situation. Next is present some real life situation. We as teacher need to make a relationship between the content that you teach and the life situation, the real life situation. For example, we talk about chemical compound that can pollute our environment. Then, we make it related with the current situation that happened to Malaysia. Next one is let them propose an idea. This is good because in 21st century teaching and learning process, we know that student center is one of the method to teach. So, letting them propose an idea is one of the pedagogy that have in the 21st century teaching and learning skills. The next one. Okay, people. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Meditational activity. For example, our class at school is after break, student break. So, we need to make sure that students focus on our class. The technique that have been shared by one of my previous teacher is meditation before the class. Let them to calm down, then you can grab their focus. Last but not least is story relate to the God. We as teacher, especially as Islamic teacher, a Muslim teacher, we need to relate everything that we teach with Islam. So, students will not forget about the purpose of life as a Khalifah. I hope the skills that I have been shared can help you in being a better teacher and a great person in the future, inshallah. So, that's all from me. Thank you for listening.
Okay, welcome back guys. Okay, my friend already explained about the 4 aspects in holistic development approach, which are: first is spiritual intelligence. Okay, the second one is social intelligence. Okay, the third one is practical intelligence, and the last but not least is emotional intelligence. Basically, those 4 aspects in holistic development approach must working together with another aspect. It is not suitable to focus only one aspect. So now, I will explain about the combination of these 4 aspects. Okay, the first is the combination between emotional intelligence and practical intelligence. Okay, the second is the combination between emotional intelligence and social intelligence. And last but not least is the combination between emotional intelligence and the spiritual intelligence. Okay, now I will proceed with the first combination, which is the combination between emotional intelligence and practical intelligence. This is the process which teacher must manage their emotion to perform appropriate responses for a situation. Okay, for example, in these issues that I got from the internet, which is published on 18 May 2016. This is about a teacher which her student make a racist joke to her. At first, this teacher doesn't control her emotion by scolding, shouting and banging table toward the student, and this is the bad practice that teacher should not do. From time to time, this teacher make a research, learn and relearn about a good practice that she can do. This is showing that if teacher does not control her emotion, teacher will make a bad action. Thus, as a teacher, this is important to control our emotions so that teacher will react to the situation with the good action. Okay, so now I proceed with the second combination, which is emotional intelligence and social intelligence. This is the process which teacher manage emotion to develop positive relationship with student. Okay, you can see that for the first current issues that happened in Kuantan, Pahang, which is published on 25 March 2019. Actually, this issue is about religious teacher involved in the alleged torture of student until that student has a nightmare. For the second issues that published on 28 April 2017, the issue is about some teacher punishment towards student can go too far until students scared with the bad memories. It is showing that if teacher doesn't control the emotion, teacher will create a bad environment, bad relationship and also bad school experience to the student. Thus, as a teacher, it is important to control the emotion so that they will help students for having a good environment and good relationship, which not more than the relationship as a teacher and a student only. Okay, we proceed with the third combination, which is the emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence. Okay, based on the definition that you can see, actually, this is a process which teacher manage emotion for having high commitment to human values. For example, you can see this issue is published on July 2018. Actually, this is about a religious teacher in Penang forcing their male student into oral sex act in a class. This is showing that if teacher doesn't control their emotion, teacher will not think carefully, cruel to student and lose value as a human. Thus, as a teacher, it is important to control our emotion so that they will think rationally, help students to learn about the human values and purpose as a human in this world. Basically, the profession as a teacher is not easy profession because as a teacher, they need to be prepared as a whole. Holistic approach can help teachers to evaluate skill by balancing their emotional intelligence, practical intelligence, social intelligence, and the last one is spiritual intelligence. Okay, lastly, as a conclusion, this holistic development approach among teachers is important to help the growth of student intellectual and help students for having a good experience as a student. So I think that's all from us. Hopefully you get something from our presentation, and if you have any question, you can ask in a Google form or during the class later on. So nothing to say, only thank you so much.